would say the farming community, I would say, is on its knees. I would say there's many a man goes to bed at night wondering the full situation, what's he going to do? Sell his farm, his whole livelihood. Maybe, I think it's been there maybe 100 years.
We have 3 sons and 1 daughter, and as for me, some of my sons ask me what I think about farming or what, I'd be talking them all out of it.
Farmers, as far as I'm concerned, are not getting paid enough for their produce to cover their costs. It's just simple economics, they're not the money's not there.
It takes my working tax credits and the child tax credits to put the meat on our table. It's not farmers putting the meat on their table, and when that goes, I don't know.
You've worked long hours and you haven't as much time to sit down and relax, and if you're working long hours you wear yourself out, and that's where problems happen and accidents happen.
Probably uncertainty about what the future will hold, plus all the legislation that has been imposed on farming will be the main concerns that I would have for the future.
I will look quite content on a day like this. It wasn't like this a couple of months ago. As you can see, roof was well and truly
caved in.
It caused serious damage. The reason that this shed actually collapsed was the sheer weight and volume of snow. The bolts actually pulled out of the trusses.
How would you feel that the weather's impacted in farming, say over the last year, maybe even 2 years?
Yes, well, it sort of, the snow was probably the kind of tin hat on what had already been a very long, hard winter. I'd hoped that I'd get towards the end of March that weather would pick up and we'd be able to get the stock out. Unfortunately, it went completely the other road.
I have a yard up there and I just closed all that in the yard. Well, they get buried and they get buried. The snow got height, and I kept digging them out and kept digging them out, and then they started lambing.
Rural Support was set up about 11 years ago after the foot and mouth disease outbreak. At that time, farmers were suffering the devastating effects that disease brought on the rural community. We have a helpline service which is open 7 days a week, and it's managed by a team of staff and volunteers who work for Rural Support. They can provide emotional support to people in times of crisis, but they can also assist in signposting and providing information on other organisations that might be able to help.
We're quite close about here, which is good, and especially in time like that, there people would rally around one another. But I suppose, like, at the end of the day, when they close the door at night, there's still isolation there.
Well, the important thing is to talk to someone, and we find that if people talk and are willing to unload their problem to somebody else, that it halves their problem, and it's the first step to helping them through their difficulties. People who bottle up their problems are not willing to talk about it. Quite often the problem escalates and can get worse. We would talk to them and do telephone counselling, but in some more severe cases we would visit the farm, talk to the farmer, just sit down with him and listen to the difficulties he has and give him all the help we can. We may even do signposting and help him to meet up with somebody else who can help him as well.
Brace everything's tough when you get the bad weather on top of it. Just makes it, just sort of squanders the whole thing a wee bit. Price of fuel, I think, is the biggest killer of the whole lot, and the fertiliser, and to get anything done on the farm, it's just nearly cost double than what it did, 5 or 6 years ago. Every corner that you can get save a wee bit, you're trying to do it. The farming, the way things is changing, it's more online now, a lot of this stuff, and a lot of the older people not be familiar with it. They're paying money to get this done, and they're really just getting the forms filled in with fear and not having the thing done right.
That's right.
That shouldn't be the way that farming is. Farming should be farming. It should be some simple way for a farmer to go to a meeting, get his forms filled, if he's not fit to fill them, and be done at that. But it's alright for a big farmer to have all that up-to-date stuff, but as for a man with 20 or 30 acres in the Spurn Mountains. He's trying to make a wee living on it, but he's been torn bits trying to do the regulations that's meant to be right, I think.
You know, the reduced amount of labour on farms is causing problems, whether that's an increased workload and less time to do things in a safe way, and there's always pressure on there. There's more work needs to be done, there isn't the labour there to do it, and that has to be having an impact. And with reduced incomes over the last few years, there's less of a social life, and that again will have another impact. A lot of loneliness out there with farmers. You know, they feel on their own and that they don't get great publicity all the time either, and so that would be the pressure that I would see at the moment.
You had mentioned earlier too about mental health concerns. Do you think is that a big issue at the moment?
I would say it's a very big issue at the moment. I've been there myself. I know what I'm talking about. It's a big dark hole and you think there's no way out, but there is a way out. But it's very, very difficult to process, and people tend to just put a mask on very well and you don't see the real person at times.
There's been an awful lot of suicides and things this year. You know, farmers just not being able to cope and you know,
taking their own life,
giving up. Farmers are very quiet people who tend to bottle things up a bit, you know, before they go looking for help, you know. So, which is not the right thing to do, really.
I talk it out.
Talk it out, surely, aye.
A chap rang me back the other day there and said, you know, I was thinking about the chat that we had, and you know, it's really the care that somebody cares, and like it was really good to be able to have that discussion, because it sees you over the weekend, it sees you through the dark bit, and you get your mind cleared a bit and be able to see things more clearly, better perspective.
I'm not too sure if you're aware of the services of Rural Support, where we provide a confidential helpline for farmers and rural people. Would you say that there's a need for a service like that at the moment?
I would think a service like that is very important, because I rang them about a week ago to find out information on what I needed for an upcoming inspection, and they were very helpful. And that is a very useful service to have, to talk to somebody independent who is confidential. And I'm sure there are a lot of other cases where they're even more beneficial to farmers.
Farmers would be very tight-lipped. They'd be very quiet people in that department. And then, again, I would stress tell them to ring somebody or get in contact with somebody and get stuck in and see what they can do and for somebody to help them.